probably prefer my meat warm. You know, maybe not too hot, but definitely well cooked. But I don't know. That might be what happens here. Let's see what happens here with the IMDb plot here. To start, a driver saves a waitress from her ex. He continues driving but crashes during a blizzard. Now injured and trapped in a ravine, he spots a beast stalking him. With dwindling time, he must find a way to survive the cold and the predator. Okay. Um, okay. Okay. Cold meat, driver in the cold. Okay. Maybe he's the meat. I don't know. We'll see. All right. New movie here. I was sent a screener for this along with some of the press information we put out on Promote Horror. So I'll try to keep this as spoiler free as possible. I believe it is out on video on demand now. So yeah, um, I'm going to, like I said, I'm not going to spoil everything, but I think I'm going to, in order to really have a review and conversation about this movie, I'm going to have to give away maybe the first twist of the movie or turn of the movie, because without it, it is really hard to say much about the movie. Um, but and it obviously sets up really what is really happening here. Um, I think if you see, well, the poster on IMDb doesn't really give too much away, but if I believe there's another poster, I don't remember the one specifically that I shared with the press release, but if you watch the trailer or you just see the video, the pictures I'm looking at here with the IMDb, uh, kind of give away that there's something else happening here, or at least another person involved, and I guess that's the point of it. Um, so yeah, slight. I will spoil one thing. I'll tell you that at least early on. I definitely will not spoil how this ends and where this eventually goes. Um, but so that you're kind of forewarned, so that I am going to tell you something that is kind of what, as you watch the opening, you don't expect it, and then it happens, and you're like, oh, okay. So I'm gonna kind of ruin that for you. So I apologize in advance, and I don't think that will hopefully don't turn you off to the whole movie. Um, but it is something that happens, fairly early in the movie, so it is not, um, an ending spoiler here, or where this movie eventually goes. So get all that kind of disclaimerness out early on. Um, yeah, so it opens. It's a diner. There's no one really in there. This guy comes in. He sits down. There's one waitress. I'm guessing there's somebody in the back cooking. Maybe not. I don't know if she was cooking too or whatever. Um, he obviously orders, and everything is nice and calm. Then a guy comes in. He's all riled up. He has issues with the waitress, kind of getting in her face, blah blah blah. And this nice guy is sitting down, obviously opens his mouth and pisses off the guy that's already pissed off. And that guy's going to come over and be all tough and rough. And, obviously different ways that this situation can go, but let's just say the guy goes on his way, and no major scene is had. And with that, the waitress and the guy, then kind of have a moment there and to kind of calm down, and slight discussion about what is the relationship between the guy and the waitress and so forth. But then things calm down, and the guy gets back in the car and goes on his way. He drives to a gas station. He gets out. He's pumping his gas. And long and behold, we see, that this guy that was all pissed off is driving a tow truck around, and happens to notice that the guy has pulled over at the gas station. So now you're thinking, oh, well, this is not going to be good. And now it's going to be his time to come in and really kick this guy's ass. But unfortunately, their cops pull up in the gas station. So the angry man in the tow truck cannot exact his revenge, so therefore has to wait. So the guy gets his gas, gets in the car, and drives off, and proceeds on his way until the guy in the tow truck spots him, and a small chase scene ensues. And then as this goes on, the guy eventually kind of separates himself from the tow truck, but then in the process crashes. And when he crashes, he's basically out in the middle of a snowstorm, off to kind of the side. There's not really anybody else on the road and nobody else to kind of save him. He's okay. He didn't get too banged up there in the crash, but gets out to kind of observe the situation, see where he is and so forth. And here's where the small twist goes in. So if you don't want to hear, this small twist, I guess this is where you can kind of hit pause or whatever, and fast forward to the score if you want. But like I said, I won't tell you what happens at the end or where this eventually goes. But yeah, he pops the trunk, and long and behold, the waitress is in the trunk. So a little bit of a surprise there. Didn't see that happening. They don't show you that is going to happen. There's no real tip off that that's going to happen. But she's tied up in the trunk, and he's like, "Hey, don't go anywhere." Not that where else is she gonna go? It's freezing cold, and the car has crashed, and she's tied up. Where's she gonna go? He closes the trunk and tries to see if he can, find shelter or get away or go somewhere. And as soon as he does, of course, she kind of wakes up, and she proceeds to be able to get out of the trunk. And she also tries to get away, but realizes, hey, it's cold as hell outside, and I'm going back in this car. The guy happens to hurt himself, and he also makes his way back to the car. So long and behold, here we have the movie where eventually the woman is in the car and the guy is in the car. It's cold as hell and there's nowhere to go, and they are there. And the woman kind of catches the guy by surprise and gets him all nice and tied up there to the steering wheel. And then they proceed to have conversations, and then you kind of see what is going on in kind of his life, that he's done this, in her life, how she kind of got to the situation, and definitely where this is going. So I'll kind of leave that at that. Obviously, in the description, there's a lot of talk about a beast and so forth, and some mystery there. So it is somewhat misleading and somewhat not, and I'll just leave it there as far as that. So there's a little bit more twists and turns to come. Obviously, you're going to see, what happens in this situation between this guy and this woman, and, what is happening here, that all of a sudden, surprise, the waitress is in the trunk here. So there is still more to go. I didn't spoil everything for you. There's more to happen there. I just did another review where I talked about a little bit about having a movie and sitting and watching a movie where there's a discussion between two characters, and it really is, there was that third guy there, but really this is just basically a conversation between two characters, and how much do I really like, these kind of movies. Now, this one is, I'm not going to mention the name of the other movie. If you follow every review, you can kind of see, which one it is. Maybe you saw that review or not. Where that other movie is a lot of the two characters just kind of sitting. This one does a little bit more flashbacks. This one obviously had some action, in the beginning, and obviously these two characters are a little bit more standoffish, and will have some struggles, obviously struggling with between each other and what is going on around them and trying to survive and so forth. So there's a little bit more action and definite unease between the two characters, and definitely where each character kind of stands, where in the other one you weren't really sure where each character stood. So a little bit of a different stance as far as where having these two characters that are going to do a lot of conversating goes. But this one is also filled in with a little bit of flashbacks and so forth. So you do get to see a little bit of other things, which kind of, kind of keeps it on a little bit more of kind of disconnects from that conversation, kind of gives you something else going on. So it is done in a little bit different way, but yeah, at the end of the day, it is another movie where basically two characters are just involved in a large part of the film. So kind of interesting comparison in my head of seeing two movies with two characters and just the different way it's kind of handled. And the different kind of way of the horror. I mean, this one's out in the cold. The other one was kind of dark and creepy. That kind of give you a hint if you follow the reviews of which one I'm talking about. But yeah, definitely, I liked that surprise that she was in the trunk. I again apologize for kind of blowing that for you guys. I didn't catch that, didn't know that was going to happen. Again, if you watch the trailer, you look at the pictures or whatever, I obviously didn't put one and one together in the when in the restaurant there. But you obviously know that he's going to be with somebody in this movie. He's just not in the wilderness by himself, as the summary kind of makes you think. Um, did like kind of the background they filled in and what you find out about what is happening here. I think it's going to pick up as it goes and kind of give you an interesting ending. I don't want to say too much. I'm not a huge supporter of exactly what happens at the end. I guess they kind of leave that to do you want to believe that really happened or not, or believe in that and so forth. I don't know, but as far as the interaction between the guy and the woman, I liked it. I liked where it goes. I liked what they reveal about him and that kind of thing, and all that was good. And I think where the final incident in the movie and whatever was even though you kind of knew it was gonna happen, I was still like, okay, I like that. That was fun. So yeah, it is okay. Um, so different elements here. I obviously liked that it was in the cold and the freezing, even though they are in the car. They after they get out and realize how cold it is, they don't spend a whole lot of time outside of the car. It's just a bad idea to be out there. And definitely the situation is going to get worse for them being in the car so long and being that it's cold. And obviously between the two of them, as they're kind of figure that their time together is winding down, and their like or dislike for each other is winding down, and so forth. So with that, I think I'm going to give it 3 pools of blood. That is out of 5, 3 pools of blood here for this one. And, I no major complaints here. I thought, the acting between the two was pretty good. Maybe not great in every circumstance, but was good enough. And obviously because of just the surroundings and then the kind of escalation of things going on with them and around them, and that kind of gave it a break, and it wasn't just them, it didn't make you feel like it was just them kind of talking like the other movie I mentioned. uh, there's a little bit of a break to get in a little bit of maybe action and other things going on, so it didn't kind of bog down and whatever. And it's only an hour and a half, so it didn't make you feel like whatever. So there is some action, whatever, to kind of break things up, and so forth. So again, without getting into what is going on here, I think you guys will like that. It'll fill in the horror elements that you need. Not that being in the cold and whatever going to die is definitely a horror element in itself. But yeah, they'll bring you enough to kind of fill that enjoyment. And the title of horror here, although it just says thriller, but I think there's enough horror here to kind of include that. I don't know why they didn't, but whatever. So yeah, 3 pools of blood out of 5 for cold meat. Again, we prefer warm meat to warm. Cook it well done. Um, anyway, yeah, they were freezing. It was cold. They probably wanted to be cooked themselves anyway. Regardless, horrorsgorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews, written in video. Obviously, tons of video reviews for a while now, but definitely if you scroll back a couple of years, you can find some written ones on the blog there. But if you're just interested in the video reviews, like, subscribe, and do all those things that everybody wants you to do. If not, don't worry, it is truly okay. I thank you regardless for any time you spend watching the reviews or the shorts, or participating in any way. Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. Feel free to reach out to me there. Talk horror, talk about this movie, other movies, something you want me to review. Feel free to reach out to me. And also in the comment section, feel free to put it there. I try to respond when I can. But if you do see this movie, your thoughts of the situation. Can you guess the other movie that I kind of compared this to? Just so that I kind of know that you've actually seen another review, or you at least saw that other review. Feel free to throw that in the comment section. So with that, I guess I will catch you in the next review, horror fans.